Early reviews for Ford v Ferrari suggest it is a white-hot car racing movie. That's the headline on today's MBE Movie News.
That's correct, John. Matt Damon and Christian Bale, and probably one of the most hotly anticipated films of the year, Ford versus Ferrari. We certainly did a trailer review, a reaction for this,
Yes.
earlier on this year. One of the things I did pick up from this, very much like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it's in the detail of the era. This is set in 1966, of course, and I don't know if you want to do a history lesson on the whole scenario, John, but obviously Ford entered the fray. I think they became the first American company to win the Le Mans in 1966, much to the dismay of the Italians, but there's obviously a lot of history between both manufacturers as well. I think we're going to see that in this film. Matt Damon, Christian Bale in the same film as well.
Yeah, Stephen, that's something I'm always well on board for, getting Matt Damon and Christian Bale together. I love the two actors. I know Matt has frequently been the butt of many a joke in recent years, all playful and kidology, of course, with the likes of Jimmy Kimmel, a long-standing joke where he's trying to get on his show. He won't allow him on the show because he thinks he's a shite actor. Truth is, though, very accomplished actor, Stephen, in a whole array of different genres. And what can you say about Christian Bale? One of the all-time greats already, despite only being, what, early 40s or something?
I think he's maybe a couple of years older than me,
Yeah, early 40s, mid-40s. Tremendous actor. Anything he puts his mind to, any role he steps into, he's going to make that film better for it. And apparently he is playing, I believe, one of the drivers, or the driver who is brought in by Henry Ford and the Ford company in general.
Ken Miles,
Ken Miles to drive the vehicle in Le Mans 1966, the Le Mans race. Of course, the 24-hour race, one of the most historic races, Stephen, in just the racing circles in general. We have like, obviously Indy, I think 600 or something. We have obviously the F1 Tour in general, Monaco, Monte Carlo. This is one that's right up there in those sort of circles. As you did say, I've done brief little reading on this in terms of history. I'm not an expert by any means, but I think Ford were trying to buy out Ferrari at this point. I don't think Ferrari were quite where they are these days in terms of prestige, or certainly in terms of standing. Ford were always...
I think internationally,
internationally, Ford were a brand way back to the 1940s and probably even earlier. They obviously had some interesting ties in World War II and whatnot, so they were a very big established company. They were trying to buy over Ferrari. They were thwarted. Enzo didn't want to sell the company to Henry Ford. He took umbrage at that and decided, well, I'm going to put one of our cars into the Le Mans and test your dominance and perhaps even beat you. And that's also what happened, Steve, and that's what the story's about. It's about these two men battling it out for supremacy on the biggest stage of all, perhaps in motor racing. And it follows the story of those two guys primarily. Then it goes into Matt Damon and Christian Bale's characters, as you did say. I think Miles or something his name is.
Ken Miles,
Ken Miles, without having a look. I
Carol
don't know.
Shelby is the character.
Steve, that blew my mind. He is actually playing Carol Shelby, who is also the great Shelby, I believe, manufacturer, the man who created Shelby automobiles. I think they have, I don't know if they are connected with Mustang, but I think we have had Mustangs with Shelby takes on them. Again, I don't know everything about these things, but I do recall watching the likes of Chip Foose being fanatical about Shelby. So the fact that he employed the services of this great man, renowned for making muscle cars back in the 1950s and 60s and whatnot, brought him in. He created a custom Ford car, ran in the race, subsequently won. That's what it's going to focus on, these two different distinct groupings of characters. We have Shelby, we have the Miles chat, we have Enzo, and obviously Ford battling it out. And apparently, Stephen, without gibbering on too much, because I will let you in for your thoughts on this and maybe your anticipation of this movie in general. Apparently what they're saying is it's managed to capture what I feel what a good biopic in this sort of a setting would need to capture. Not only capture the speed and the sense of danger that is ever present in a motor race like this, the sense of almost claustrophobic setting within this car, the speed, the intensity, the sounds, just everything about that. But they've also managed to encapsulate into the story just the little personal moments with these characters. Apparently, this chap who's reviewing it from Thrillist.com says that it does what all good biopics have to do. It captures the period it's trying to capture beautifully, and it really does tie in with all the various characters who have some part to play in the movie, gives them their own breathing space, time to develop, form a connection with the audience, and then it goes off into the good stuff, as he says, the motor racing. So I cannot wait for this movie, Stephen. We both reacted to the trailer, really enjoyed the trailer, thought it caught the sense of, as I did say previously, the speed, just the racing experience in general. These two guys look like they're perfectly made for these roles. They look like they're delivering fantastic performances, as you'd expect.
Yeah.
And it does look as though it's capturing the period very well too. So that's right up my street, and I will be going to watch it. Potential Oscar baiting in this movie, Stephen, as well, in terms of the release date. So what's your thoughts on it? Are you as excited as I am about this movie? I know you're not as much into motor racing.
Well, I'm not, John, but the concept of the film is something that's pretty refreshing. Very much like I said the other day about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's nice just to get a film that's about people. And obviously this is based on real events. I think the subtlety and the look as well and the time period is not going to be as exaggerated as Tarantino's period piece. I don't think it will be, because that's not the point of the film. The film is obviously based on these events. One of the things that I did pick up was who is playing Henry Ford as well as Tracy Letts, who's a terrific actor. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the director's James Mangold.
James Mangold is the director, yeah. Fantastic.
You've got all the right ingredients there, John. And as I said, when I first started talking about it, was that the trailer came from nowhere as far as I was concerned, because I didn't see any build up to it, certainly not here in the UK, until that trailer dropped.
And it's called a different name over here.
I think it's called Le Mans.
Yeah, Le Mans 66.
Yeah, so it's obviously going to confuse a lot of people. But I would have
preferred Ford v Ferrari.
So I don't know why they're calling that here.
That's the heart of the story. It's these two warring car companies.
Yeah,
iconic companies.
Exactly. So I'm looking forward to it. I don't know what the release date is yet, John. I don't know if it says it anywhere in the article.
I'll try and find. It's the 15th of November for us over here, Stephen.
I do remember watching, I think it was John Campea and Robert Meyer-Burnett talking about this film. They're highly anticipating this movie as well. Robert Meyer-Burnett said a lot of things that I just said. I'm not copying you, Robert, but just to see a film about guys just getting into the thick of it, I do hope we get to see a lot of sort of first person action as well. You look at some of the historic and more sort of standout films that involve like car racing, the likes of Days of Thunder, Tom Cruise. Bullet to a point as well, I would say, although it's not racing, but it's got it's got that sort of pardon the pun, it's got that drive, if you like, in the film, where you're taken into the action, from that point of view as well. So it's a film I'm looking forward to seeing, not just because of its subject, but obviously because it's Christian Bale. I'm a big Christian Bale fan, have been for many years. Matt Damon, like you said, John, his acting abilities haven't dipped in any shape or form. His choice of films have at times. That Suburbicon one, I think he worked with George Clooney on it. It was a bit of a disappointment. Also that downsizing as well. It had a great sort of concept to it, a great idea that kind of just sort of, faded out probably about 15 minutes into the film.
That's ominous.
That's got nothing to do with Matt Damon, apart from, as I said, his acting choices or his movie choices. But listen, we'll move on, John, because I know we've got a long show ahead of us, because we are doing, obviously, the blog rundown as well at the back end of this show. So next article that came in was from Collider, and this was an exclusive, so we're kind of just jumping on the bandwagon here. And it's Margot Robbie's Tank Girl movie lands director Miles Joris Perafiti. I think that's how you say it. I hope
Rather
so.
You than
yes, and the reason I picked this up, John, I know this was obviously, I think you might have been 6 or 7 at the time when this film, the 1995 film, came out starring Laurie Petty, but it's obviously Margot Robbie's production company. It's behind pushing this. They're called Lucky Chap Entertainment, and they've got the person that they want to direct the film now. And what's your take on this? Because I know you're not too familiar with the character or the backstory, John, but You did say something that was very interesting in regards to what it did remind you of, the sort of concept of this film, so I'll let you in about that.
Yes, Stephen, obviously it's based off of a 1988, I think the comic was created in 1988, and it's a post-apocalyptic setting based on this character, Tank Girl, obviously, and ragtag group of people she's obviously hanging around with.
Yeah.
And just the concept that they mention in this about her perhaps going off of this group, trying to take this, I don't know if it's a group of people, settlers, or just
I think it's a group.
an organisation.
It does say it's a group of rebels. I think rebels. She teams up with another outlaw, a fellow outlaw called Jet Girl. So.
But the actual people who are obviously, they've got the water and they're holding everybody else to ransom for the water. That reminded me of obviously Mad Max Fury Road, where that was the exact same concept. You had various different settlements in this post-apocalyptic world, all had their own ingredients you need to survive in the harsh landscape. One had water, one had this, one had another. And that was what it reminded me of, Stephen. The fact that it's post-apocalyptic, that concept of them holding the water, and just the idea of the character as well. She's almost like a female version of Mad Max. So it's intriguing me, Stephen. The concept is intriguing me if it's done correctly, and if Margot Robbie's production company, Lucky Chap, are indeed involved, and apparently they are. I think they were involved with I, Tonya, which I really enjoyed. That was a great period piece, completely different to this, a biopic piece I should say. But it is period as well. It was set in the 1990s, so that's a period.
The funny thing is, John,
it excites me.
When I first saw this, I think it was the first shots that were released, photographs that were released of Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. That character and her look and her attitude did remind me a lot of Tank Girl. Sort of, it does say in the article here, but that's what it reminded me of.
What does,
well. That
right?
Kind
Even
of,
the colour, the hair and whatnot.
Yeah, just her attitude, you know, and this, you know, knack for creating chaos and stuff like that. Just, it's a character, I remember seeing the film, but I didn't really take too much notice of it at the time. But looking back on it, it was actually ahead of its time when I think about it. It does have a lot of sort of echoes going back to Mad Max, the Mel Gibson ones, that is, but I think it's more sort of in line with you know, the film you mentioned, John. Also, the look of it as well gave me a kind of Judge Dredd, and when I say Judge Dredd, I mean the Sly Stallone one. That kind of sort of that look about it, you know, and feel about it.
It's almost like Mad Max and Dredd coming together, Steve. That's exactly what it's like. And even the concept of the movie, it feels like something straight from that period, in the 1980s and 1990s, just high octane. I mentioned the other day, cocaine fueled. I think we were speaking about Face Off. That sort of a that era where these movies were commonplace. They were just off the scales, ridiculous. I think there was one with Steve Buscemi and Kurt Russell, which the name of it eludes me. I think it's Escaping LA, Los Angeles, or New York.
Well, he did New York and LA,
Yeah, it was that was similar. It was post-apocalyptic, all hell breaking loose. That was just, there was a whole plethora of movies like that from that period. This feels like it's harkening back to that bygone era. I think if it's done correctly, Stephen, and if the cast is assembled correctly, then this could be a success. They do mention the cast. I think Charlie Heaton perhaps is one of them who's coming on, if I'm not wrong in my assumption. And he's a very good actor. He was in the likes of, I think, Stranger Things. Maybe talking crap there. It may have been Fear the Walking Dead. I think I'm pretty damn sure he's in Stranger Things. I don't even know if he is in this movie, Stephen. I'm looking at the actual article, and I think it may be one of the other subjects we're talking about. There you go. Amanda Steinberg.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, John, it is very early days for the film. And, you know, obviously they'll be putting their story together, and obviously thinking of names that they want to, you know, throw in the mix. Well,
they do say that, Stephen, finally, that Margot Robbie hasn't committed herself to actually starring as the titular role of Tank Girl until a script is put together and she gets a chance to read it. So we'll see where this goes after that. I'm sure if Margot steps into the movie, then that is very promising signs going forward.
Yeah,
I don't know anything about Miles.
I was actually working off the assumption she was going to appear in it, but as a production company, it's involved in it. But
she's worked with the director before on Dreamland, so perhaps.
I think if they're thinking about anyone being cast in that role, she's got to be top of the list. Just for her performance as Harley Quinn, because, as I said, it did remind me of that character. But we'll move on, John, to our next article. This is all about Knives Out, the new Rian Johnson film. This Chris Evans post-Avengers Endgame movie, Knives Out, is a masterful hit. It's been dubbed the most entertaining film of the year so far. So we did a trailer reaction for this as well. We've got it covered. I think that's what we should call ourselves, because we do a lot of trailer reactions.
That's actually a very good name for a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
We should have thought about that.
Yeah, I'll have to keep my eye out. Nobody steals that. But listen, the film received its world premiere at the Toronto International Film Festival last weekend, and it's been declared a resounding success, John. Rian Johnson back to doing what he does best, independent sort of standalone films, and it's been declared a masterful crowd pleaser and one of the most entertaining films of the year. It's obviously a whodunit.
Yeah, Stephen, I can quite believe it
from
the trailer and what I'd heard previously, just before and during the production of this movie. All the signs seem to point to it being an absolute classic, even when I don't think the movie was even in production, and there was people who had a chance to look at the script who were releasing interesting little tidbits about it. Apparently it was off the scales good, packed to full to the rim, I should say, with comedy and just action and just ridiculousness. I cannot wait to see it. I think it does look exciting. I've always maintained that even though I didn't like what he did on the Last Jedi for the most part, he's a very good and talented director. When he gets to bring his own world and his own stories to life, we've seen it with the likes of Brick and Looper. Yeah. He knows what he's doing in his own little world. When he can take his independent ideas and put them on the big screen, then it tends to work very well. Certainly when you go into Rotten Tomatoes, 100% just now, Stephen, 46 reviews counted. That would tell me that across the board the critics are loving it. Whether that transfers itself over to the audience score is another thing entirely. I think we'll see a lot of Star Wars fans who absolutely despise Rian going out their way to maybe leave some negative feedbacks in there.
Or they might be saying that's a rigged game.
Yeah, that's a rigged game. Stephen, I doubt it. Because you look at the cast, and the cast is just perfect for a whodunit movie. It seems to be the case that every single whodunit movie in the history of whodunits has a pretty superb cast in the main. Even that Adam Sandler one on Netflix recently was
Jennifer Aniston.
Jennifer Aniston. I think it was Murder Mystery was the name of it.
Yeah.
That was a pretty good cast in that as well. This will be a higher calibre than that movie. I have no doubt about it. Coming off the success of Murder on the Orient Express as well, we're seeing a bit of a renaissance for the murder mystery genre. Anything that's got Chris Evans in there, I'm on board. Christopher Plummer, just an incredible actor. He can come on with 3-4 weeks notice and do something remarkable. What was that movie called again? I can't recall, but he came on. It was about I think somebody's family member being stolen away. He was a billionaire. Name eludes me at the moment. I'll find it if I can be asked. But Michael Shannon, Lakeith Stanfield, it's off the scale.
Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig's playing I think, sort of a Poirot figure in this. They're saying it's really funny in parts, Stephen. They're saying that it's really unique. It breaks down the genre and then rebuilds it. So I'm absolutely on board for it. I've seen the trailer and I really liked it. I liked Chris Evans in it. He was hilarious. Just slightly tinged with arrogance and just throwing the insults out. I can't recall, was it shithead or something? He was continually throwing it out.
That's the reason, the headline is mentioning Chris Evans in this, because I think it is trying to sort of highlight the fact that, he's going to do his damnedest to try and move away from, probably his most famous character, Steve Rogers. So it's a good film to jump into, very much like Daisy Ridley jumped into Murder on the Orient Express, John. They are very aware of being typecast. You've seen it before in previous franchises where some actors cannot escape their own success. So it's good to see that Chris Evans is branching out, if that's the right word, and taking in, this challenge of this film. It's something that's different to what we've seen him in previously. And it's also good to see Rian Johnson going back to sort of his roots in a way as well, because I'm as big a critic as anyone in his handling and his writing for that film. But I was a big fan of him before that, so I'm not going to be a hypocrite and say all of a sudden he's not a good filmmaker, because he is a good filmmaker, and he's a very good storyteller as well.
We were both excited when he got announced for The Last Jedi. Steve.
Yeah, and you cannot tell
excited.
me any Star Wars fan out there that wasn't. I don't recall much on social media or anywhere else, John, for that matter, dissing the guy. He should not be, involved in this. It wasn't until obviously the film came out then people had their say, but I'm looking forward to this. Very much like yourself, John. I like this genre. I don't think we get enough of them. There does seem to be a sort of resurgence of the Agatha Christie homage films as well. So, and you do need a very good cast as well, because it's going to be a very dialogue-heavy film, like most whodunits anyway.
Yeah. You're
going to have a lot of long sequences, long scenes, lots of talking and interacting, so it's always good to have a strong cast in there, and they certainly have with this film.
Yeah, Stephen, the final thing I'll add is that the biggest positive I'm seeing from the reviews that are coming in for this movie is the fact that they're saying it isn't falling foul of the sort of a corny parodies we've seen that popped up for the most part and bogged this genre down. It's really rich.
I can think of two right away.
Yeah, it's rich and it's complex. Apparently the dialogue is just incredible, which you alluded to. That's really important in this genre, because it's mostly dialogue and try to pick out who did it. And apparently he handles the ending very well. It's got the complexity you need, but it's not get the cheese that you'd normally see affecting most movies in this genre. So it's really looking very promising for this movie, and I can't wait to get out. As
much as they may have killed the genre for a few decades, John, I very much did like Murder by Death, and I liked the Tim Curry one as well, Clue. And again, they had fantastic...
Is that the one that was based on Cluedo?
Yeah,
I've not seen that. I have to see that movie.
It's a really good film, John. I think Christopher Lloyd's in there as well. But
I have to see it.
It's both films, Murder by Death as well, Peter Sellers, Alec Guinness.
They're great.
They're good films, John, but I do get why, they kind of ruined the genre in a way, because they became spoofs.
Yeah.
But listen, we'll move on to our final article, because obviously we are pressed for time, John, and this is Brendan Fraser is all in for another mummy movie as long as it's fun. Certainly that last one wasn't fun for us, Brendan.
No.
What's your thoughts on this, John? Because I remember seeing the 1999 film in the cinema with my dad and my brother, and it was a fantastic film, visually as well. Some of the CG in that was at the time very, up there. It came out the same year as The Phantom Menace, so you can imagine the sort of special effects you were getting back then. The Mummy Returns, I think it was called, was the next one.
It was not
this
bad.
was the one with very bad CG Dwayne Johnson.
Oh, was that one? Is that not the Scorpion King?
Well, he did the Scorpion King after as a sort of a spin-off, which they didn't go down that road of using that CG, but I know the Corridor crew have kind of fixed that problem, but it'll never be in the film, so I've never really went back to seeing that one. Obviously his co-star Rachel Weisz as well appeared in those first two movies. She didn't make an appearance in the third one. She was off doing other things, so they recast her character.
Yeah.
Evie or something like that. Was it Evelyn? Yeah, Evie. So yeah, they recast her, and this was the one, obviously, the Dragon Emperor, the Tomb of the Dragon Emperor, which was a terrible film. So I don't really know if maybe Brendan's probably saying, he didn't have as much fun on, that second sequel.
I think that's exactly what he said.
He's having maybe a dig there, and they'd probably only come back if there was obviously justification for a fourth Mummy movie. I've got to be honest, John, I don't really want to see it. I think the characters have all been, they've served their purpose. There was a beginning, a middle, and a kind of end. But I didn't really like that third film. I wasn't really too big on the second film either. The first film was a good adventure film, but apart from that, I think all the chemistry once Rachel Weisz went away, when she didn't come back to reprise her role, kind of left, the franchise as it was. Yeah,
exited stage left, or was it right? I can't recall what that saying was.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stephen, I agree with everything you've said. There's just no need to go back and do this iteration of The Mummy. There's no need to go back and do any iteration of The Mummy, because after, I think it was 2017's Tom Cruise, Sofia Boutella disaster, it should never be touched again. It ended on a full note. the previous incarnation.
Yeah.
With, as you did say, what the hell was it called? The Temple of the Emperor's Dragoness? I don't know.
Tomb of the...
Tomb, yeah. I don't even remember the name. I don't want it was god awful. That was the one with the jungle.
Yeah,
and the mummies.
Yeah,
well, he's okay, but the mummies like chasing after him. Terrible. My mind I had the game. That was better than the movie. That'll say everything you need to know. Perhaps I enjoyed it when I was a child. The fact I had the game would probably suggest I did, Stephen. But look, no, Brendan Fraser, I like the guy. He's not getting enough work these days. I think he is in a TV show at the moment. Perhaps, I've not checked it in a while, but I know he's not been in many movies recently. I don't see Rachel Weisz want to come back.
It's funny enough, John, see when you go into random websites, like movie websites, you'll see these links, why Hollywood won't cast, and they always pick on someone, don't they?
Brendan
Fraser does come up every now and again.
Every single time it's Brendan
and if you
Fraser.
click on the link, there's nothing there about Brendan Fraser, so don't click on it. It's clickbait.
It's true, Stephen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's because he got a little bit fat and lost his hair slightly, but he's got it back somehow. That's the magic of McConaughey's style hair gain. I wish they could tell me how to do it, because God knows I need to get my hair back.
You can lose weight, but you
and
can't gain hair.
John Hannah, don't want to see him ever in another movie again, Stephen. That god awful Scottish accent, don't want to hear it.
You've not heard his Canadian accent in The Hurricane?
Oh Lord. Wow. I have. It was god awful. That was terrible. I just don't want to see that guy in any movie ever again. It's up there with Connery, that accent, it needs to go. But yeah, there's no real reason for this to come back, Stephen. I think he's clutching at straws. Someone's probably asked him, hopefully, hoping that he would say something, they can get a story out of it and maybe publish it and gain some hits. In this case, MovieWeb. But Stephen, perhaps the other reason he's even speaking about this is that he's seen the utter atrocity that was the 2017 incarnation, as I said previously, and he's just wanting to throw his hat in the ring for one last go and see if he can return as Rick O'Connell. I hope not, because there is no need for it. And I'm going to move on from this conversation, Stephen, because I have no more to say. I said very little, and I have no more to say on it. So we shall move swiftly on, Stephen, to the next part of the show, which is obviously the blog rundown. It's been amalgamated into movie news, and I'll let you come in with what the first movie is, Stephen, and who's reviewed it.
Yeah, the first movie, John, is Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw, and this is reviewed by the movie couple. Of course, this film is directed by David Leitch and stars the likes of Dwayne Johnson, Jason Statham and Idris Elba.
Yes, Stephen, we both seen this movie.
Yeah.
We both got, I think, enjoyment out of this movie.
Yeah.
I completely agree with Jerry, incidentally. I know Elizabeth, not a fan of Fast and Furious in general, thought it was a bit of a snooze fest, I think. It would be fair to say she gave it 1.5 bills, which is not good for the uninitiated in the movie couple's way of rating. It's a very cool way.
Yeah.
I think it's 1 or 0 bills up to 6 bills or 5 bills. She gave it 1.5. Not good.
No.
I agree with Jerry though. I'm no fan of the Fast and the Furious. I bailed out of it perhaps 3 or 4 in. May have even been after Tokyo Drift. Which I think I didn't. I think I watched up, and then I most recently watched the Paul Walker final one. I think that may have been 7 or something. I've lost the plot with Fast and Furious. But the point I'm making is I'm not a fan of it by any means. But what I am a fan of in general is usually Dwayne Johnson and his ridiculous action-fueled movies, and even Statham. I watched The Meg, I think it was last year, and I get great enjoyment out of it. They're just caricature action heroes, Stephen, from a bygone era. They're like this generation's Arnie and Stallone. You can fight out who's Stallone and who's Arnie. Of course, it's Dwayne who's Arnie, and Sly is very much Jason Statham. But look, I'm not doing him down. Sly was great as well. I'm not insulting him, man. I love Sly. But look, Stephen, the point I'm making is these two guys are in the movie. There's not much story going on there, and I think they both agree with that. The villain was cardboard cut out. We both said it, and that is a real waste, as I think Jerry does say as well, of Idris Elba's talents. The guy is head and shoulders above Statham and Johnson when it comes to acting ability. He can reach a level they could only dream of getting to, and to belittle him to such a cardboard cutout was disappointing. But look, this was all about getting these two great characters in, these two great action heroes in, letting them bounce off each other and seeing what hilarity ensues. I'll let you in, Stephen, before we get into the likes of Vanessa Kirby, who was, again, I agree with Jerry, a real standout, and she has been in many a movie recently.
I was getting into this film exactly the same as Elizabeth. I've not seen any of the Fast and Furious films, John. I was never interested in that genre at all. And I've got to be honest as well, I wasn't a follower of The Rock either. You know, I wasn't a big WWE fan or anything like that, so I kind of missed the boat on that. So I wasn't really getting into it, with any expectations. My experience on the film was certainly different from Elizabeth, so I know that she didn't get too much out of it. I actually didn't mind it at all. I kind of went in with low expectations and came out, in some degree entertained. And I think that was down to the chemistry between both Dwayne Johnson and Jason Statham.
Yeah.
Jerry's right. Some of the humour was a bit tired at times. I think you could only do that for so long. Very much like, and I've said this before, John, it's very much like Tango and Cash, where you get these two characters that absolutely hate each other, but they have to work together to win the day. And you sort of build that premise on that sort of humour where they belittle each other the whole time. But again, an hour in and they're still doing it. There doesn't seem to be any relationship building or development. They're just exactly the same as they were when they first met, and that's the kind of experience I got from the film. The action sequences, on the other hand, were fantastic. As I said, a lot of shots from Glasgow were in there. Saw a lot of our landmarks in there that were sort of doubling up for London.
No Dwayne, though.
No, it was his.
It
was his stunt double, Cliff Booth. No, it was his stunt double. It came, and I thought they did a really good.
Was in Glasgow.
Famously. Yeah, same street. But I think overall, I got some enjoyment out of it. It's not one of those films I'm going to revisit anytime soon.
No.
But I kind of get the impression the point of the film was to sort of test the water. They're not going to do Fast and Furious films forever. They're going to try and utilise these characters in some other way. And I think they've started doing that by doing this spin-off, and I think this is going to open the door for many spin-offs now.
Yeah, Stephen, I'm just trying to find out where Dwayne is actually from, because I don't want to put my foot in it and say some more, but the one thing that stood out to me in this movie, which I didn't like, as an aside to the handling of Idris Elba, is just a cardboard cut-out villain who was just perpetually trying to chase after these characters and just being held back, and then he's looking aggressively into the horizon, longingly thinking, I'll get you. Eventually, that happened about 4 times in the movie, I think, and then when the ending scene comes and they fight each other, it's just a letdown. He was overpowered eventually with not much trouble, and that was really disappointing. But the other one, without going off on a tangent, was that trip to Samoa, I think it was. Just felt like, I keep using this word, a masturbatory sort of a experience for Dwayne Johnson. I don't know why I keep using that word, but it just felt like that was just him going out on a holiday to his homeland and just chilling for a couple of weeks while the film was seen. It made no sense to bring this to this area. Apart from him getting back and having a connection with his family. Maybe
it seemed to do a volcano or something like that. I think there was something there, was there not?
I think it was just, again, it's Jerry does say, I think it's just highlighting the family issues in the Hobbs character. He goes off and you see there's breakdown and fractures within his family unit. And we see that with the Vanessa Kirby character and Halsey Shaw, played by Statham, their siblings, and it shows you flashbacks of them and their troubled upbringing. Kirby, though, Stephen, before we move on, absolutely superb actress, and she really does shine in this movie. Completely agree with what both the movie couple say. She really stood shoulder to shoulder, well, not literally because she's much smaller, but she held her own with these two great action stars, had a real starring role in it, coming hot off the heels of Mission Impossible Fallout, where she was fantastic in that as well. So 3 really good performances. Idris Elba, okay, didn't really get tested, not down to him or his performance, just down to a poor script from his perspective. All in all though, really flashes of funny moments in there, really slick choreography, as you'd expect. I think it's David Leitch who directed it. He was involved in Deadpool 2, he was involved in Atomic Blonde. He knows how to do slick choreography with little dashings of humour in there, and all in all, that is what it is. Mismatched buddy comedy action movie, and it's going to set up more standalones, as you did say, or spin-offs.
Certainly is, John, but we'll move on to our next review, and that was a great review from the movie couple there, but we'll move on to DM Anderson's take on Avengers Endgame. This is the Blu-ray movie review from this year, John, and it's from the Russo brothers, obviously, and I don't really want to read the cast because it's going to take all night to do that, but you know who's in it. Yeah,
I think who's not in it, Steve? Who's not in that movie?
I think the angle Dave's coming from this film is obviously bladder control. Obviously, the duration of this film. Certainly, one of the things I wasn't too concerned about going into was the duration of this. I know that Infinity War was a long movie as well, but so was The Last Jedi. I think we're just getting to that stage now that audience attentions are getting better. Certainly, when you look back at Tarantino's idea for a double feature being segmented into separate films with the Robert Rodriguez Planet Terror, the concept of that was a good idea, but for the time, 12 years ago, whatever it was, I don't think the audience were ready for sitting down for 3 hours for a movie. Well, in that case, 2 movies, back to back. But I think we're there now. I certainly didn't have the issues Dave had. I would probably say I'm maybe a little bit younger than Dave. But listen, I thought the whole experience was something I don't think will ever be repeated anytime soon. The sheer anticipation and build up to this movie, 12 years of hard work, great writing and great casting, great directing from all the directors, not just the Russos, all leading to this point, and what a fantastic finale it was as well. Dave mentions this, it's ultimately a slam bang crescendo to this massive franchise. I couldn't put it any better.
Yeah, Stephen, I completely agree. We've both spoken about this movie previously. Stunned it's not been reviewed, incidentally, prior to this, but thanks, Dave, for reviewing it, because we get a chance to speak about it briefly, Stephen. Sadly, we can't speak in depth because we are running out of time. It's been running for over 40 minutes now, I think, this show. By the time it gets edited, it may be shorter. But look, Stephen, what can you say about it? Culmination of over a decade's work, absolutely sublimely capped off with this wonderful movie, perhaps the greatest action movie of all time, I would say. And Dave's absolutely right. Not only does it have the big bombastic action sequences which you would expect in an Avengers movie, a culminative Avengers movie at that, but it has quite a little personal moments with some of the characters. Obviously, Natasha Romanoff, we see it with Steve Rogers in his group therapy sessions. We see it with Clint Barton as well. So there's some great little quiet moments in there, but just the way it's all brought together, everything, the visuals, the storytelling, the directing, the acting, we're fracturing off into time travelling sequences which are just beautiful in the way it's almost Back to the Future-ish. You're seeing it from slightly different angles. Just to bring that all together was wonderful, and its craftsmanship. Visually, I don't think people appreciate just how good these movies are. The level of skill it takes to make this happen, it's on another level. The acting, I still maintain Robert Downey Jr. should be up for an Oscar nomination for what he did, just as a culmination of that character. The development of him over 11, 12 years, whatever it was sublime. And I didn't have issues with the bladder control, but Stephen, I can hold my water. Just for my job alone, I have to. And I will be back and forth and I'll be out all day long. So I had no issues. And look, you're absolutely right, Stephen, about this being a sort of a zeitgeist movie in many ways. Just in terms of an event, going and watching it, culmination of the MCU's Infinity Saga. But just as you say, Stephen, it's almost like the poster boy for these 3 hour plus movies, which we're seeing more and more of. We've seen Andy Muschietti just recently saying that he's looking to make a supercut of It, where it's going to be It Chapter 1, It Chapter 2, some new scenes filmed and some additional deleted scenes flung in just a 5 hour long film. So you're right, Stephen, the Tarantino thing, Planet Terror, Robert Rodriguez, absolutely, that would happen in today's day and age, no issues. So all in all, what can you say? Incredible movie, absolutely incredible.
Fantastic review as well, Dave. But we'll move on to our final movie review this week, John. It is The Kitchen, and it is The Movie Couple. Again, this film is from 2019, but we don't get to see this movie for another week. It doesn't come out here till the 20th.
Yes.
So we're getting sort of blindly, but we're getting with the sort of perspective of the movie couple and their two eyes on the film. So this film was directed by Andrea Berloff, John. It stars the likes of Melissa McCarthy, Tiffany Haddish, Elizabeth Moss, and this movie, I think it's adapted from a 2015 DC Vertigo comic book series written by Ollie Masters and illustrated by Ming Doyle. And this film, like the comic before it, tells a tale of three mob wives in the 1970s as they rise in power over Hell's Kitchen, Manhattan, while their husbands are off serving time in prison.
Yeah, Stephen, I can't lie, I didn't know much about this movie until very, very recently. Just the concept of it being about the mobsters' wives and them having to take over Hell's Kitchen, we know from watching Daredevil and whatnot, it's a very vociferous environment to be stepping into. So that's an intriguing concept. Sadly though, it looks like the ball has well and truly been dropped to the point where it is now punctured and lying whimpering in the corner of the street. So that's sad in a number of ways, but apparently, according to the movie couple, I keep saying apparently because I haven't seen it, the performances are not one of the letdowns. Melissa McCarthy is sublime, Tiffany Haddish is sublime, and Elizabeth Moss, I'll say it again, is sublime because I love saying sublime. Stephen, we've seen these actresses before in the likes of Us and Mad Men. Melissa McCarthy shown she can do a wide range of genres. I've really enjoyed that as, and I can't bloody forgot the bloody name of the film again. I do this all the time. The one with bloody Richard E. Grant. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Regardless, they are real standouts in this movie. Apparently the story just drops the ball though. There isn't enough tension in there. There's not enough stakes in there. And I think they both agree that that's down to the inexperience of the director who's come in. This is her first feature movie, Andrea Beloff. So she's wrote it as well, I believe.
Yeah, I think Jerry does say that the film does appear to be rushed, John. The pacing's all over the place. It's very haphazard, and as if the director wants to get to the point very quickly. But that comes with, obviously, the inexperience. That's it, John.
God damn
but it's always the same. It always is out your head and back in at the wrong moment. But it's a film, we didn't do a reaction to this, did we? I can't remember. I don't really remember too much about the film. I've seen clips of it on YouTube, etc. And obviously with Melissa McCarthy in there, certainly over the last maybe 2-3 years, I've changed my mind about this actor because before, I only ever saw the sort of comedic side to her, but recently, that film you just mentioned, John, the one that with the puppets as well, that was an amazing film. That and certainly some personal appearances as well. She comes across as a very, I don't want to sound like I'm, sort of patting her on the head here, but she's a very intelligent lady as well, away from the silliness of her comedy.
And generous, Stephen. You've seen it at I think the Golden Globes, where she brought food for the actors and actresses who came too late and weren't given meals, so very generous. So,
but one of the things about the review as well, I'll kind of pick it up from Elizabeth's point of view. She went home very disappointed because I think she was looking forward to seeing this film based on the trailer. The Godfather meets Charlie's Angels. Oh,
God's mama.
No, it doesn't sound too good, does it? Yeah, good mamas, but no, it's a film I don't know. I think probably, John, it comes out here next week, as I said, in the cinemas here in the UK, but it's not really a film that I really want to go out my way to see. I have read other reviews on the movie as well. It's not really getting good feedback. It appears to be quite a beige film that has good performances in there, but again, down to obviously the plot, the storyline and the directing, it's kind of fell at the wayside. Yeah, which is a shame, Stephen. I'd be intrigued to see finally who the actual mobsters are that they are obviously the spouses of. Is it the likes of Walsh and Fisk, aka Kingpin and whatnot? That'd be intriguing. But look, Stephen, I don't know much about it. It is a 2015 comic series which I have never read. So I'll be beginning into this completely blind. I don't think I will begin into it because by all accounts it is shite. So I'm not got much more to add on that note, and I'm going to round up the show on that note, Stephen. What the hell did you guys make of the movies we spoke about on the blog rundown? Do you agree with the various reviews? What do you make of all the topics we spoke about? If you have anything to say regarding all of the above, then you can comment below and let us know your thoughts. Where, like the video, if you've enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel. If you're enjoying the content, and me and Stephen will be back tomorrow with the Force Friday show.